Let's move on now to the Green Bay Packers 2023 season prediction video, where we break down the entire season for the Green Bay Packers, predict all of their games, and also give our predictions on how well we can do this year. But before we do that, if you have not already, smash that subscribe button and also ring the bell to get notified when new videos come out. Ryan and I, we are going to be starting out a new segment every Sunday night at 8:15, starting this Sunday, where we will go live, review the week's game's actions, and also then start to kind of preview the following week. And so this week we will be providing our bold predictions for every single team, also being previewing the Thursday night football game. Also, on top of that, we'll have a fun season-long competition starting next week, where we will predict and make videos on every single NFL game. So if you want to follow our competition and see our Packers predictions, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified. And Ryan, let's get into it here.
Let's do it.
Packers starting off a new chapter within their storybook franchise, and it's going to be very interesting to watch. This is definitely going to be one of the compelling stories. But what you're seeing here, Ryan and I, we predicted every single NFL game, winners and losers, and then if we thought that they were critical games and we weren't sure, just kind of based off the situation or time of the season, or also the overall matchup, we'll mark that down as a tie. And what this also kind of does indicate is the kind of floor and ceiling that Ryan and I kind of give every team. And so here you can see the Packers are 6-8-3, which is a fringe playoff team in the NFC. If things go poorly, we can see them being more on the 6-11 range. But if Jordan Love and everybody pans out, they will be on the 9-8, and I think vying for that 7th spot, competing with the likes of the Giants and the Bears. I think for that final spot, even the Panthers, I think potentially as well. So kind of before we get into like the overall schedule, I think what sticks out immediately on why like that they're here in this spot of this fringe playoff team is just if you look at their record versus teams with like overall losing records versus then the playoff teams. I think that they're going to compete against the teams that are around their level on both the AFC and NFC. So these fringe playoff teams that are going to be vying for playoff spots, teams that are going to have tiebreaker advantages when it comes to Week 18 against the Packers. But then versus the playoff teams, they're like, no, it's just not really going to be as much of a competition. I think there's definitely some question marks, especially too then just with Jordan Love taking over the team. Also, then on top of that, very young receiving core. Christian Watson is the most veteran receiver, him and Romeo Doubs, that's on the team. So just how is that going to play out? Last year, it took some time for the Green Bay offense to get going.
Yeah.
These guys were rookies, so I understand that caveat. But still, though, I mean, it's going to be a sophomore season, and then these are your guys' most veteran experience. So very interesting to watch, very interesting to see. I think that they start off with a couple of tough games here if we look at their first 5 games. Bears, I mean, we could go either way. We ended up having them split the series. Falcons, I think in Atlanta, I think Atlanta matches up well against them. The Packers at home for the first time going up against the Saints, a Saints team I think that is weak outside Chris Olave. And then the Lions, I think, are going to be a Super Bowl contender. So those first 4 games, I think it's going to be interesting. We're going to learn a lot about the Packers and what their season might be like.
Yeah, no, they're a very interesting team. I think they have a good defense. I know they didn't necessarily perform that way last year. They just had some injuries. They added Lucas Van Ness this pass rush. And so this defense should be pretty good. And from what we've heard in camp is they're going to be a pretty big boomer bust team, right? Christian Watson sounds like he's going to be the next star receiver in the NFL. But Jordan Love had some ups and downs throughout camp. And so it'll just be interesting to kind of to see what happens. And I do expect them to start pretty slow into the season. As we get a little further down, they do have maybe an easier stretch here in the middle, but then they do finish pretty strong. So coming off the bye, we do have them losing to Denver, but then they beat Minnesota and the Rams. Pittsburgh's going to be a really tough team this year, we both think. And then the Chargers and the Lions, you already mentioned the Lions are Super Bowl contenders in your eyes. And I think the Chargers have kind of been underestimated, I guess, this offseason, just because they're in that division with the Chiefs.
Let's just pause here. So if you want to scroll up here, just look how hard that stretch of games is from Week 10 with the Steelers all the way down to the Giants.
Yeah.
Giants, that's one of those teams where that game is crucial because that will be the tiebreaker. Like that's a tiebreaker type team because I don't think the
Yeah.
Giants will win the division, and I don't know if they'll outrank the Cowboys or the Eagles, depending on who wins the NFC East. So they'll be vying for a wild card spot, and then you just look, and the Packers are playing them at the worst possible time.
Yeah, coming off
four super tough games that I just don't see them winning. Like I know we put a tie for Kansas City, but I think maybe we're being a little generous.
Yeah. Well, they are coming off a mini bye, and I do think as the season goes on, they will start to pick things up. I also don't think Kansas City is quite the powerhouse that it's been in years past. They just don't have the weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Also, Travis Kelce is going to be 34 this year. So eventually the wheels have to start at least slowing down on that train.
Eventually, but we have heard that story before, and then they won a Super Bowl. So that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, even still, it's hard for me to go against Patrick Mahomes versus.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So I was more justifying why we have that as a tie.
I understand.
But then after that, so after the Giants, they do play the Buccaneers and the Panthers. We both think the Vikings way overperformed last year, just like most NFL analysts. And then Week 18, we do believe they'll beat the Bears. So, like, definitely finishing strong. They have the potential to close out with 4 straight wins, which would definitely help their playoff chances. They just do have that stretch in the middle of the year where it's like, man, they play 5 really tough teams all in a row.
Yeah. And they have a flow of hard, easy, hard. And so it'll be interesting to watch the Packers. I mean, similar to, honestly, the Bears and Justin Fields. Just a lot of question marks, and then they just major changes. And then there's so many questions coming into the season, and come Week 18, we're going to have a lot more answers on the overall direction of the Packers franchise.
Yeah, because this is Jordan Love's 3rd year in the league. He was a first-round pick. Oh, it's his 4th?
Yeah, he was in the 2020 draft, so this is the start of his
4th. Oh, you're right, yeah. So this is his 4th year in the league. It is time for him to kind of show value.
Well, that'll be a fun little segment that we can kind of continue to keep talking about on our Sunday show. But because it's like, how much leash does Jordan Love have? Because it's like, yes, he's handing over the reins, but I mean, there's a lot of question marks at who he's throwing to. And we gave Justin Fields a huge benefit of the doubt last year, just because it's like Darnell Mooney was his number 1 receiver, and so it's like, and that's not saying like that's not much. So then do we give Jordan Love the same benefit of the doubt? I think that's going to be a fun conversation to keep having all in all, and that's where I think you just have to watch the games and see on film for yourself. Does he look like an NFL caliber quarterback and then his receivers just suck? Or is there just so much hype around him just because it's the Packers?
Yeah, from what I've read in camp, it sounds like the receivers are playing very well. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I'm excited for the Packers. I think similar to the Bears, they're going to get a lot of answers this year. I also think Matt LaFleur is kind of a sneaky head coach on the hot seat. They haven't done super well under his reign, especially at the end of Aaron Rodgers' era in Green Bay. So I think that's going to be interesting. But let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on how well you think the Packers are going to do in 2023. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.